everybody out there. We are back yet again. It is us. It is the Bearded Brothers with your hosts. I'm Matt.
I'm breathing.
That's Chris. We do host the Bearded Brothers. Yet another sports podcast coming right at you. All right, so there's been news, but for the most part, the off seasons have been quiet, boring. Hadn't been a lot going on, but we're going to go over them here. I don't think it's going to take as long as I initially thought, or as we initially thought. So I also have a list from ESPN that is the top 25 teams of the last 25 years. So going back to 2000. And we're just going to see what Chris, because he hasn't seen this list. So we're going to see if he agrees with it and what he thinks of this list. And that's kind of going to be our show for today. So we're going to start off with NFL news because there has been a smattering of that. And some stuff that has just come out within the last, 20 minutes that I think is worth talking about. So, of course, we all know the big news, or one of the biggest pieces of news that is out there, is that Browns rookie second-round pick, Quinshon Judkins, has been arrested and detained for domestic assault and battery. And the more that comes out about it, the worse this looks for him. I don't have too much else to say about that, but just, if it was going to be someone, it was going to be the Browns.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just feels like that team just, I don't know whose Cheerios they pissed in, but they pissed in someone's very powerful Cheerios.
And that somebody has just been out to get them ever since. Because
life or death, they don't care. Yeah,
at this point, I feel like if the Browns didn't have bad luck, they'd have no luck at all.
Pretty much.
They had one good season where their defense dragged them into the playoffs. And a magical run by an aging veteran quarterback made everybody believe that they were a good team.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I think that only happened to give the fans of Cleveland hope so that it could then be dashed again and again and again.
And then, of course, watch the QB that you did have draft, take his team to the playoffs again and again and again.
Yeah, and turn out to actually be good. You have to sit through watching that. At this point,
if you would have just let him, heal his shoulder, everything would have been fine. Crazy how that works.
At this point, I think he's going to make a Super Bowl before they do.
At this rate, it certainly seems possible. Granted, it depends how long those wide receivers are able to stick around if it doesn't happen this year kind of thing.
Yeah, well, they also did just draft one of the best wide receivers in the draft class this year.
Yeah, but we've also... Remember, we thought that when the Chargers picked up Johnston, and look how well that worked out.
True.
So let's wait and see first, but yes.
We also thought that about MHJ, but I think he's got a redemption in him.
Gosh. Yeah.
I think he's got a redemption in him. We'll have to see.
We'll see. So last season was not very impressive.
He had one really good game. One really good half.
Second or third game, too? Or
it was like the third game, first half, he exploded, and then kind of nothing after that. Or before it. I mean, he wasn't bad, he just wasn't what everybody thought he would be.
Wasn't what everyone thought, yeah.
We'll see if he can make up for it this year. I think he can.
We'll see.
But anyway, no. Speaking of draft picks, there is still one unsigned first-round draft pick. And his name is Shamar Stewart, and he has gone back to work out with Texas A&M.
Yes, but nothing currently concrete on anything like that.
No. He could technically apply and request a waiver from the NCAA if he wishes to play at A&M again this upcoming season. I believe he does have a year of eligibility left. But because he was drafted, that's not likely to be granted. However, that doesn't mean that he can't hang around the A&M facilities and work out there. There's nothing that says he can't have a private workout coach. Now, there is a clause in the CBA that if a player does not sign by a certain date, they can go back into the draft the following year and can be drafted by any team except the one that attempted to draft them originally. He would not be allowed to be drafted by the Bengals. And really, this is condition nightmare for the NFL as a whole.
So, by the way, just as it does feel like it's an important correction. It's a minor correction because it's minute, but it's still important to point out. Shamar Stewart isn't actually working out with the team. He's just working out at the facilities. Mm-hmm. I want to make that clear because some people have apparently misunderstood and assumed that he was working out with the team and
trying to rejoin the team. And the answer for that right now is no. He could not do that because he is not part of the team, and that would open them up to sanctions by the NCAA. But that doesn't mean he doesn't share a gym at the same time the team is in there.
Apparently, from what I was just reading, he has to purposely use it during hours that are not like in there for team stuff, basically.
Yeah, but I'm saying
if he happens to run into other teammates and stuff, past teammates, that's fine. But if it's being used by like the team or by like a specific section of the team, he can't use it. Yeah.
No, if it's
free use, basically.
Free use individual time, yeah. But if he happens to run into teammates that are there and coaches that just happen to be there in their free time.
Yes.
There's loopholes to everything.
No, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But...
No, it does not. However, he is still not willing to sign the first-round contract. And it's primarily because
he says he only wants a contract with no default clause. Like that's all he wants.
Mm-hmm. The issue is the main issue to me is that, from what I'm hearing, they tried to put the clause in that says if he gets in any trouble. Trouble is very loosely defined.
It's very vague,
Yeah, and that's the problem. If they were to define it within tight legal terms, they might be able to get him to relent a little bit. Or if they were willing to pony up more money up front. Or something.
I was going to say, the problem with defining it would be very difficult, too, because, like, you could be like, oh, you know, as long as he doesn't get into issues with the law. Okay, well, then what does that mean? Does it speeding ticket, does that count? Oh, well, we just mean as in, like, nothing violent. Okay, what do you qualify as violent? Like, that's the one problem with going down that road, in my opinion. But I don't necessarily disagree with you. I understand, like, they are worried about his past history a little bit, which is why they wanted to put the clause in.
My thing would be, so long as you do not violate the NFL's personal conduct policy.
Which you're not supposed to violate anyway. No, but I guess if you want to do like a default clause that goes, hey,
if you do violate it, then we can void your guarantee.
Yeah, we'll be even more critical of you than normal kind of thing.
Yeah, we can void the guarantees on things if you get in trouble with the league's personal conduct policy.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I still don't think there's many players that would agree with that, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Just because we know like those policies are also still fairly loosey-goosey. They're not as loose, obviously, but they're still kind of...
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I get what you're saying, but yeah. He wants nothing to do with that, and they're just... The problem is I can't
imagine there's too many teams that wouldn't have that for him, though, just because of his unfortunate history.
But there are teams that could... Again, the Giants did something similar with Abdul Carter. There's a similar language in his contract.
Yeah.
But they put up a bunch of money up front and moved it into his signing bonus.
Yeah, and I don't think he really was worried about it anyways, because he's not really one of those players that's ever really had too many off the field issues, really.
No, but the point is that the
So
Giants were willing to compromise with how the money was structured, and the Bengals aren't.
no, I get that. I'm just saying that like if I'm the player, right? To me, maybe I'm just doing a little too much psychological analysis into it, but like if I'm Abdul Carter and I'm going, oh, you're willing to give me more of a big pay to keep that clause in that I'm not worried about in the first place? Sure, fuck it, why not?
Yeah,
But if I'm Shamar Stewart, who has that history, I'm looking at it more like, oh, they're trying to find a way to punish me for my past behavior. But that still stems from like, well, if you don't think you're gonna have that problem, then it shouldn't be an issue still. But I can understand why you're like feeling like you're being kind of pointed out as a problem. But then you can also say Abdul Carter got it down there, and we know he's not a problem place. So why? I don't know. It's a tough area to really walk down because like I get why teams would have that in there, especially with prices of players just all going universally up.
and
And they want to protect their investments and their money and everything. I get it. And I also understand it from the players' point of view of like they don't want to be, you know, prejudiced against. They don't want to. They want to make sure that they're not getting unfairly judged, which they already do to some degree, obviously. You know, especially we've already heard several stories of players that got put through the ringer for basically false accusations. So like,
Des Bryant comes to mind.
yeah, and so like I get it. So I get both sides of the equation, but my problem is I don't know how to what's the fine middle ground to fix both problems. And right now I'm not seeing that solution, which is the shitty part.
And this is also kind of ground zero for the NFL now, because with
Yeah.
the NIL deals and
Yeah, exactly.
all of that going on in college, players don't have to immediately sign the first contract, the first bad contract that comes across the table. They can sit out.
No, they can just heck you might see more and more players not opting to go early into the NFL anymore and finishing out their college career to get the last NIL money they can get.
And they don't even have to sign right away because if they don't like where they've been drafted or they don't like the terms of the contract, I'm just going to go back into the draft and you can't draft me again.
Yeah.
So this is really going to push things for the NFL. And speaking more of draft picks, there's almost an entire round worth of players of this last draft class that has not signed. And that would be your second rounders.
Yeah.
And that is because Houston and Cleveland, why is it always you two, decided they were going to give their second rounders fully guaranteed, or at least one of them in Houston's case. They gave Ariante Ursary from Minnesota a fully guaranteed deal. Now, they also did not have a first round pick because they traded out.
Yeah, they traded out.
So they probably may have taken Ursary there. I don't know. But
It would have been a bit of a reach at that part, but yeah.
yeah. Because there was still another I believe there was still another tackle or guard there that
There
I
was a
think
couple other,
yeah.
yeah, pretty good.
But they gave him a fully guaranteed deal. They're not giving it to their other second round pick who also has not signed.
Shocking.
And Cleveland gave it to their second round pick who's been arrested.
Shocking.
And now, because those two got fully guaranteed deals, guess what all the other second round picks want?
Shocking.
Oh, there was one I read this morning. Another one did sign, but he does also have a partial guarantee.
Partial, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like Suge is going to sign fairly soon, too. Apparently, he's not worried about getting a deal done before he plays. I guess. So it sounds like apparently the agents and everything sounds like it's going well. It sounds like they're going to get a deal. They're just figuring out probably the small details at this point. So.
My God. All right.
But yeah, this is the problem that we're running into now. It's not just like, even the rookie contracts now aren't as, great as they used to be anymore.
Nope.
For management.
Nope.
So. And that's why you get less time with these rookie quarterbacks, back in the day, yeah, even in the early 2000s, you could expect rookie quarterbacks to sit, 3-4 years, get that last year to prove themselves and to get a prove it deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've had enough time to hopefully sit and learn enough to get that
Unless,
chance and opportunity.
unless you were drafted in the first 10 picks. Yeah.
And even that was not super common still at that point. Most of the time, teams weren't picking in that spot and going, "Oh God, we need a quarterback right now."
There were
Some
a few.
did, but not.
Usually,
didn't have it
you
as
were the
often.
first. Usually, you were in the top 2 or 3 if you were like, "I need a quarterback now."
I know, but even then, you still might have somebody who you could like, "Oh, we'll use them for a little bit before we bring in the rookie." Still, like they'd still most teams still had at least a guy that they could be like, "Okay, we'll use him as a bridge for now," kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see that many rookies getting thrown in game one right off the bat. Like it just didn't happen. But now they kind of have to do it that way because they need to find out right now, do we have something in this player? If we don't want to waste money on him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot more luxury back in the day with time. They have way less time nowadays. Which, I mean, that also comes with the fact that we've also talked about college over those last 20 years has also gotten much more intense, and a lot more players come out pretty pro ready now in comparison to even 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, there is some of that to factor in as well to that situation, obviously. But I just think it's funny how much college has become legitimately like the farm league for.
That's
for the
more or
NFL,
less what
more or
it
less.
is now.
Yeah, it pretty much is. And that's why no successful secondary, organization has ever really been able to tap into it because college has always been a pipeline straight to NFL now.
Mm-hmm.
Until some of those other players from those other teams start getting actually like drafted, right, from those secondary leagues, I don't think they'll be taken super seriously.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like that's one thing I will say that I do like about the NHL and NBA drafts is that you get a lot of different players from a lot of different leagues internationally, which I think is more interesting. Like how often do you hear about somebody getting drafted into the NFL from the Canadian Football League? Like,
Yeah.
if it happened though, it might make those leagues more important, I guess I would say. But the problem
If
is
I
I don't know how you.
remember, I believe it's happened once.
Yes, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it has happened, but it's.
And in fact, if memory serves, I want to say it was. I don't remember. It was one of those defensive ends that ended up being really, really, really,
Really good. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I remember there being one, but I just think it's interesting how those, because college has kind of stepped into that role, you don't really have that with the secondary, but I feel like you should still have that for people that don't go into college but are still good enough football players to go to a team or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that those options should still exist. And there should be still a way to get to the NFL through those leagues, but it just doesn't really exist right now.
Well, they're sort of opening that up a little bit, as we've seen.
They are.
Especially over the last couple of years. They now have that NFL Europe passport program thing.
Yeah, and then they also have the Australian football thing that they also are,
100%. Yeah, so we're starting to see that now.
Because that's one thing that we have been getting. We've actually gotten a couple of pro players from Australia already that have been really good.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a shocker, but I guess not super shocking.
Have you ever seen rugby?
Yeah, I have. That's why I'm saying I'm more shocked that it hasn't been more from England. It's been a lot more from Australia, but Australia's got a lot of really big fucking dudes. So.
Big fullback looking.
Fucking
yes.
nails. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Tough as nails, motherfuckers.
I guess the big difference for them though is running in pads is a lot different than running without them.
Yes, that's the big thing I've heard. Though I've heard that if you're really good as an NFL player, like depending on the set that you played in, depending on like the position you played in, you could transition pretty easily to rugby. Apparently, like if depending.
It's a little harder to go the other way. Apparently,
it's a little hard to go the other way. Yeah.
All right.
I've heard of like linebackers and shit going to play rugby because you still have to have the stamina. You have to have the overall attributes of everything, and linebackers can do that pretty well as like corners and shit like that.
All right, so speaking of players in legal troubles, as we have in the past year,
Oh, great.
we got a couple of more we need to talk about. Rashi Rice has been sentenced, and he got 5 years of probation and 30 days in jail.
I think it was 30. Yeah, I think it was 30 days.
Yeah, for the wreck that he caused.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's
Pretty minor, actually.
it's all in all, it's like a slap on the wrist. It's nothing major. And he'll be able to serve his time in jail while he's doing probation and community service and everything else he has to do.
Yep.
So it won't impact his career very much at all. And yeah, he'll probably have to be suspended for a few games, and
yeah, he'll probably have the same thing where he's suspended for 2 to 3 games.
And speaking of that, and trafficked individuals, Jordan Addison has pled down to lesser charges stemming from his incident in Vegas. We're probably looking. I don't think he avoided jail time. I believe he has probation and community service, and I believe that he is
And a fine.
probably going to fine and probably 3 game suspension is what is being kicked around for him. On the good side of player news, the Jets have re-signed both Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, and they made Sauce Gardner the highest paid DB in football, which I'm not going to complain about.
No, he's good. Last year was an unfortunate year for him.
It was a bit of an aberration from what he's had.
Yeah. But
I
in general,
think he's definitely worth it.
The money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say in general he's been worth it, but last year, if you were to go only on last year, you look at that and go, So you're just kind of hoping that was just a down year and it's going to bounce back easily enough.
Garrett Wilson makes sense. Keep your receiver around. I think he's going to be good.
Happy.
Yeah. If we didn't mention it last time, the Steelers did sign finally Aaron Rodgers. So Grandpa's come out of retirement, and it looks like this is going to be
technically was never in retirement, but
yeah. But this looks like this may be his last rodeo.
Dude, we said that last year too, though. So I just don't.
Yeah, but this time he's openly.
It's the classic Aaron Rodgers off.
Yeah, but he's kind of openly talking about it. But we can't be mad at him because who did he learn under?
Yeah, exactly.
And what was I don't know.
For all we know, he'll go into retirement for a year and then come out of retirement again to go back and play for the Jets again.
It's entirely possible. Speaking of players who came out of retirement to be traded, because I don't know if we mentioned it last time, the Giants have traded to the Dolphins a retired tight end named Darren Waller, who came out of retirement.
Came out of retirement, yeah.
To be traded to the Dolphins.
Which, you know what? Thinking about the Dolphins team, and you think about what they've been doing, you go, yeah, they're the new Raiders. This just makes sense. They're just stacking speed again.
That's just what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll see if it works. I don't think it will.
If he can catch the football, he's really fucking fast.
And then the Dolphins then flipped Jalen Ramsey to the Steelers and brought back Minkah Fitzpatrick.
I mean, most people that I know are... Funny thing is, most people that I know that are Dolphins fans are pretty happy with the trade, and most Steelers fans are just kind of like, yeah... It's fine.
I can kind of agree. But
so I'm kind of in that same boat where I don't think really any team won. If they did, it would be a slight lean to the Dolphins.
Yeah, I feel like the Dolphins get a little bit ahead on this one.
But just not much. It's pretty even trade overall.
Yeah. But that's where we're at now with all of the NFL news. I can't think of any other. Oh, there was one more big piece of news that dropped. At the age of 30, after 8 seasons in the NFL, wide receiver Mike Williams has hung up his cleats.
At least that's the anticipation. That's
according to what's come out, and apparently his agent has told the Chargers team that he's done.
Yeah, Ian Rappaport reported that that's
And
the very likely he's going to be coming down this pipeline, probably, I assume, tomorrow.
And Rappaport is pretty intelligent, so...
He's typically pretty accurate, yeah.
Yeah. I imagine this is what's happening. I mean, I don't blame him. The dude did crack a vertebrae in his back.
He's been good, though, but I just, at the same time, I guess he's probably just like, you know what? I don't want to break anything else even worse.
Yeah, and it may have come down to just... Yeah, I got family, and I want to be able to walk when I'm 50, and...
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's talk. First off, for a minute, we're going to talk NBA draft. Isn't too much there.
Nope. Of course,
Cooper,
I don't follow well enough to really care.
Cooper Flagg went first overall. That's what everybody expected to happen. The big deal was that there was a guy whom more or less said to teams above a certain point, because he wanted to go to a specific team, don't draft me. And then one of the teams that he said don't draft me drafted him anyway.
Yeah, they went, no, you don't call the shots.
Pretty much. But apparently he's come off of that and said, no, I'm actually going to have a really good, this is actually fun. I'm going to be okay here. Okay, dude.
In other words, who knows what's actually the truth with that?
Mm-hmm. He could be covering for himself. He could not be covering for himself. Who knows? I don't really care.
Don't care enough, yep.
No. Alrighty. The Timberwolves drafted a center from France.
Well, they needed a new center. I just don't know if he's going to be good.
Well, they still have Gobert. And they drafted a center from France. And Gobert is also French. So it's like the Wolves are like, well, we're about to lose in a couple of years here. He's getting older and we may not re-sign him. We're going to lose our French center. What do we need? Another French center.
Hopefully he's better, because we just needed we need just a good center. Hey! Little shithead, get out of here. No, you don't get to do that.
Did he just bite you?
Care.
Did he bite you?
Real hard. Not real hard, but enough to be a little dickhead. Yeah. He was mad that I stopped scratching him, so he bit my finger.
You don't get to do that. The Wolves more or less kept the team together. They didn't sign anybody new. They did trade Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and I don't understand this at all. In any stretch of the imagination. Why? You made it... I get that you made it to the conference final. And then you got hammered by the Thunder, who also, by the way, kept their team together, because you couldn't space the floor. Once they shut down Ant, everything else went with it. I don't know, man.
You got me?
All right. Other big pieces, the Rockets and Steven Adams have agreed to a 3-year, $39 million deal. Daniel Gafford gets a 3-year extension with the Mavs. Kyrie Irving agreed to a 3-year, $119 million extension after declining his player option with the Mavs. Fred VanVleet is getting a 2-year, $50 million contract with Houston after they traded for Durant, of course, and we did mention that, I believe, last episode. I do believe that when we recorded that trade had completed.
Yeah.
Of course, Minnesota kept Naz Reid, 5 years, $125 million. Sam Merrill got a 4-year, $38 million contract. He re-signed with the Cavs. Davian Mitchell re-signing with Miami to 2 years, $24 million. Jalen Williams signs a new 3-year, $24 million deal with OKC. By the way, OKC basically kept everybody.
Shocker.
Bobby Portis is re-signing with the Bucks. 3 years, $44 million. By the way, the Bucks were the most active people in free agency by a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron picked up his player option. Shocking. The Wolves re-signed Randall to a 3-year, $100 million deal. Jabari Smith Jr. for the Rockets gets 5 years, $122 million. The Clippers re-signed James Harden to a 2-year, $81.5 million contract. I don't understand why people think he's still valuable. The Clippers re-signed Nicholas Batum to a 2-year, $11.5 million deal. The Dallas Mavericks got a $13 million contract with D'Angelo Russell, 2 years. That doesn't matter. The Rockets did get a 4-year deal with forward Dorian Finney-Smith worth $53 million. They're putting together a really good team down in Houston. Or, well, for me, over. 1-year deal for Tyus Jones in Orlando worth $7 million. No, that doesn't matter. Capella headed back to the Rockets on a 3-year, $21.5 million deal. Not worried about that one. Not really worried about that one. The Bucks go ahead and re-sign Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., and forward Taurean Prince. Not bad. They also did cut and buy out the contract of Dame. So they will no longer have Damian Lillard. Unfortunately, he is going to cost them something like $22.5 million for the next 5 years. Every year for the next 5 years. It looks like Brook Lopez is headed over to the Clippers for a 2-year, $16 million deal. Yep, the Hawks got NAW from us in a sign and trade. The Grizzlies got a 5-year extension negotiated with Jaren Jackson Jr. It doesn't matter. Nope. Nuggets got a 1-year deal done with Tim Hardaway Jr. SGA gets a Supermax extension from OKC. Yeah, he's the league MVP. I don't agree with it, but... And they did make fun of it last night at the ESPYs. The host looked down and he said, look, SGA is sitting right there, league MVP, and now everybody who's sitting around him is in foul trouble. I was like, that's pretty funny. One of the bigger shockers was that the center for Indiana, who just started Game 7 for them, 9 days later, signed a 4-year, $107 million deal with the Milwaukee Bucks. That would be Miles Turner. DeAndre Ayton is going to the Lakers on a 2-year deal. Paolo Banchero gets a 5-year max, $239 max extension with the Magic. Chet Holmgren gets a 5-year max rookie extension with the Thunder. Devin Booker gets a max extension with the Phoenix Suns. The Thunder agreed to a 5-year max extension with forward Jalen Williams. And the Suns bought out Bradley Beal, who goes to join the Clippers on a 2-year, $11 million deal. And those were the major deals in free agency for the NBA. Like I said, it was kind of dull. A lot of people staying put, a lot of extensions signed. When the biggest shocking move is Miles Turner, I think that says something about how your offseason went. All right.
Meep.
The NHL. This is probably even more boring. The biggest news is that they have agreed, in principle, the NHL and the NHLPA, to a new CBA. It's going to extend the season by 2 games. I want to say they're going to 84 games from 82. And there's going to be some new e-bug rules, and there's going to be some sort of LTIR rules, and something about... My understanding is there's going to now be a cap in the playoffs. It's going to be bigger to reflect that you're allowed to carry a larger roster into the playoffs. But there's going to be a cap now in the playoffs as well. So you aren't going to be able to do what some teams do and just... We're not going to say that there isn't a legitimate health concern for some players, but you're not going to be able to coerce certain players who have been injured to just continue to stay on LTIR until the playoffs. The biggest deal, in honesty, is probably Nikolai Ehlers going to Carolina. 6 years, $8.5 million per. Because more or less all the other big names either stayed put or, most of them stayed put. And there really weren't major names that moved. The biggest one, I think, obviously, Mitch Marner. Marner was signed to a max deal, or a max year deal, by the Maple Leafs, and then promptly traded away to Vegas for Nicholas Waugh. And that's it. And they did that because the Golden Knights definitely wanted him for that next step up in years. And then that way nobody else could come in and outbid them for his services. Which is what they wanted. I mean, Minnesota traded for Tarasenko. We gave up future considerations. So we basically got Vlad Tarasenko for nothing, but probably about 4 years after he would have been useful. And we're working on... Right now, Marco Rossi is an RFA for us, and he wants Boldy money. He wants 7x7. We don't want to give him 7x7. We want to give him something closer to 4x5. 4 years, $5 million per. So we challenged him, go out on the market. We went ahead and we gave the qualifying offer. We qualified him. And then we said, all right, hit the market. Go find somebody who'll give you 7x7. So far, that hasn't happened. There's been rumors that we're looking into trades for him. The one that's now being persistent, just because of the way they've restructured their team, the Ducks and Mason McTavish, he may not play into their plans any further. So, trading Rossi for McTavish and another player, along with maybe a second on our end, as a sweetener, as part of all of that, would be really good, I think. I don't think McTavish would want as much money as what Rossi currently wants. The Ducks have more than enough cap space to accommodate that. And I think that would be a good deal all around. I don't know if it happens. Billy G is pretty set on what he wants as a price for Rossi, and he's pretty set on what he's willing to pay Rossi. Rossi's agent is pretty dug in as well. So currently, there's an impasse. We're gonna have to see who blinks first, and my guess is it's not going to be Billy G. And that, of course, is all the news that is news about NHL free agency. You can tell how boring that's been. Basically, everybody went back to their teams. The Panthers kept their entire team together. All three major pieces that were going to be free agents are re-signed. So that's a bit annoying. It's a little bit annoying.
Okay.
Yeah. They kept Marchand, they kept Ekblad, and they kept Bennett. So, pencil them in as cup winners again next year. But outside of that, I don't really have much else for the NHL right now either. Like I said, it's been kind of boring. Not a lot going on. Next year, however, next year could be a very, very, very interesting free agency. Because there are two contracts that are up and neither has signed an extension yet. One of those pieces is Jack Eichel. He was taken second overall in the draft featuring Connor McDavid, who is the other piece that could be available and has not yet signed an extension. The best player in fucking hockey could become a free agent. I don't think that's going to happen. But can you imagine the bidding war if it does? Because both of the... Well, Eichel's already raised a cup, but McDavid isn't looking to go somewhere where he has to be the man. He's going somewhere where he is the final piece. He's going to go to a team that's already ready to contend. They have all the pieces, they just need the one guy that can put it over the top. So, that's going to be interesting. If things play out as weird as they may this season. Because you're going to have people in two camps. You're going to have people that are purposely tanking to get Gavin McKenna. And you're going to have people that are trying to build a roster that could entice Jack Eichel or Connor McDavid to come to them and win a cup. And that's it. Those are going to be your major camps. Anyway. You ready to hear about this? I've been doing a lot of talking, so. You ready to go over these 25 teams?
I mean, we can. We can definitely do that.
It'll be less boring than what we've done so far.
Bird, what are you doing?
I'm trying to bring this podcast to relevance by putting myself in front of the camera.
That's all he ever does.
All right. Starting at the bottom, working our way up to 1.
What?
The 25th best team, as ranked by ESPN of the last 25 years, is the 2018 Los Angeles Rams, who went 15-4 and lost in the Super Bowl to the Patriots 13-3.
Is that the one with Jared Goff?
That was the one with Jared Goff. Their offense was 95th percentile. Their defense was 48th percentile.
I can get that, actually. This is before they got a lot of their big pieces, but they were just starting to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm. A little lower than I would have expected, but I guess we'll see what the others are.
Number 24 is a team you may not 100% remember. The 2004 Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost in the AFC Championship game to the Patriots 41-27. They were 67th in the offensive percentile and 89th in the defensive percentile.
I assume this was when Big Ben was still throwing.
This would have been his rookie year.
Or just before him.
No, this was his rookie year.
I heard he had a pretty good rookie year, so I guess I'm not shocked by that.
He really did. And they did beat the Patriots in the regular season, stopping what was a 21-game winning streak at the time.
No, I can see it. I think this is probably one of those years that a lot of people expected. If I remember right, how good Ben was, a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, he might take the Steelers on a rookie year to the Super Bowl." Didn't happen again, of course. I don't know if we'll ever see that. Statistically, you say it should happen, but we still haven't. So
nope, we still haven't. We've seen people get close. Last year,
we've gotten two. Like I said, we've gotten 2 teams get really close.
Houston 2 years ago, and last year the Commanders, both led by rookie quarterbacks.
Yep.
Number 23, the 2014 Seattle Seahawks. Lost in the Super Bowl to the Patriots 28-24, making Malcolm Butler a household name by throwing it on the goal line when you have Marshawn Lynch in the backfield.
Yeah, I was going to say, we all know that they should have rushed it there and ended the game. Yeah, that's a tough one. I feel like they should be higher up, but I feel like because of that huge decision, it pushes them further down on the list. But I think realistically, they were a really good football team. They probably should be higher on the list, but we'll see.
Number 22 is a team that you should be very familiar with. It's not a Vikings team. It is the
Nice.
It is the 2022 Buffalo Bills, who went 14-4 and lost in the divisional round to the Bengals 27-10.
I don't know. It feels like that's a little low for them, but at the same time, classic Bills just never being able to get over that fucking hump to get to the Super Bowl. So it is what it is, I guess.
Yep. Number 21. The 2008 Pittsburgh Steelers went 15-4, won the Super Bowl over the Arizona Cardinals 27-23.
Mm-hmm. I remember hearing about that.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like they're a little high up, but this was also a year where I'm pretty sure their defense was just stacked. So
It was. Their
Yeah.
defense was rated 98th percentile.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Their defense
So I'm
was
not.
absolutely stacked. Palomalu, Harrison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not super shocked. Feels like they're still a little higher than I personally would put them, but they're not. They're not that far off.
Number 20. The 2011 San Francisco 49ers. Lost in the NFC Championship game to the Giants 20-17. Offense 65th percentile, defense 98th percentile.
2011. Is that the one with Harbaugh?
And Colin Kaepernick.
Too high up. That's 100% too high up. That team was held together by Harbaugh. Let's be honest. Like, it was sticks and fucking glue, man.
Mm-hmm.
That team was a classic. You know, some of its parts. It was a lot better than than the actual parts itself.
They had some good
that-
All-Pros on defense. Justin Smith,
They-
Navarro
they
Bowman,
did,
Patrick
they did,
Willis.
but I'm speaking specifically offensively mostly. Their defense
Oh,
is
yeah.
pretty good. But that I still think that's still too high up for that team. They should be like in the bottom 3 or 4 in my opinion if you're going to put them on this list at all.
It's because their defense
Like-
was just so unreal.
Yeah. I agree, I get it, but like the amount of people that overhype that team when you look at it and you just go, man, they just happen to have a really good defense and an offense that did enough.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make them good. That doesn't, in my book, make them good. But that's just me.
Number 19. The 2015 Carolina Panthers lost in Super Bowl 50 to the Broncos 24-10.
Yeah, that's when they had Cam Newton.
That's a Cam Newton team.
That's the year they should have won the Super Bowl for sure. That was definitely a good enough team to win the Super Bowl. I remember that because I was like you watched it and you're just like, man, because you watched the Super Bowl and you're like, that's not Cam Newton playing. I don't know who that is, but that is not Cam Newton.
No.
He had a terrible game.
He wore the defense of the Broncos like a fucking coat all game. I don't know why they couldn't block for him or do anything for him, but that team just fell apart under the lights.
Yeah, it was bad. The team itself was good most of the year up until that point, so I can see why they put them up. But I think they might be a little high because of the fact that, like, you know, I think those important moments really do matter big time, in my opinion. Because if you're gonna fail right at the very end, then you know that might say a little bit of something about, you know, your ability to win under pressure. So I think they're a little high up for me, but I can understand why because the regular season was so dominant.
Number 18, the 2023 Baltimore Ravens. Lost in the AFC Championship game to the Chiefs 17-10. Offense 92nd percentile, defense 99th percentile.
I get it. I totally get it. But again, we're coming back to that problem for me is where I look at it and go, man, that team should not have stumbled where it did. But they continue to do so, and I'm starting to question if this is a team that can never get over that fucking hump as well. They're just as bad as the Bills in that problem. So it's hard for me to want to put, like, they statistically, if you look at that team, should be higher up because they were so good in the regular season. But, like, God, that playoff game was not good.
It was not. Number 17, the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles. Lost in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs 38-35.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right, actually. It was a pretty good season for him. It was a lot better than people expected from Jalen Hurts. You know, I had anticipated that. I thought he was still going to be a pretty decent quarterback, but I didn't expect him to be as good as he's become, obviously. Granted, you have that much talent around you, right? Like, there's a certain amount of that involved, too, but I still think you still have to be a pretty competent quarterback to still do well in the league, so... yeah, that makes sense for this season. I think they should have probably won that Super Bowl as well, to be honest. But they had a couple of calls not go their way, unfortunately. And as we know, that can be just a big enough turning point. So Yeah, right around mid-ish. Okay, I get it.
Speaking of that Super Bowl, number 16 is the 2022 Kansas City Chiefs, who won that Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I feel like that's high.
that's a little high because that run specifically that year for them was not that great actually. They had it
They
wasn't
were
as bad as this last.
97th percent on offense, but only 46th in defense.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't as bad of a year as this last season that we just did, but it was still pretty rough. It wasn't one of their more dominant seasons that they've had.
Mahomes threw for 52-50 with 41 touchdowns. Kelsey had 110 receptions with 12 receiving touchdowns.
It might be a little high, but it's probably not that far off realistically. Maybe within a couple of spots.
Yeah. Number 15, the 2013 Denver Broncos, who lost in the Super Bowl that year to the Seahawks 43-8.
That's a really bad way to end that season.
Their offense was 99th percentile. Their defense was 35th.
Yeah, I can see why now. It does feel like you're rather high, right? Like, I get that you had a really good offense, but that defense was abysmal.
The Sheriff, Peyton Manning, threw for 5,477 yards and 55 touchdowns, only taking sacks on 2.6% of his dropbacks.
I get it. I totally get it. But it feels like you should not be carried that hard by just one side of your team. Like, if we're going to talk about best teams, to me that's the whole unit, not just like one part doing really well.
Yeah.
So to me that seems like that's a little high, but I get putting them on the list just because of how crazy good that was as an offense. But this feels like it's definitely high.
Yeah, I think I'd drop them a couple. Maybe down to the 20s somewhere.
Probably, yeah.
Number 14, the 2009 New Orleans Saints. 16-3, won the Super Bowl over the Colts 31-17. Offense 98th percentile, defense 54th.
I mean, it was a good year for him. I'll give him that.
Drew Brees.
Classic Drew Brees. It just feels a little high for me. Again, that defense was suspect, to say the least.
This was the year, though, that defense intercepted Brett Favre in the NFC title game.
I know. That's why I'm saying suspect. I don't mean as in they were bad, because they weren't bad. They were suspicious.
They were good when it mattered the most.
Yes.
Dirty, rotten bastards.
Yeah, so I think this is a little high to be putting them on the list just because of that scandal alone by itself kind of taints the legacy of the team a little bit, in my opinion. But it's still a good miracle season based upon like what happened prior, so it's hard not to like look at it and go, "Oh my God, that was really good." So I still get having them in the upper teens, but yeah, I don't know, that defense. Just the scandal kind of ruins that team a little bit for me.
Number 13, the 2000 Baltimore Ravens.
Wow, we're going way back.
Won the Super Bowl over the Giants 34-7. This was a unit that was the 99th percentile in defense and only 58th percentile in offense. We're talking about Ray Lewis, Rod Woodson, Chris McAllister.
I was going to say, I know we're going way back, but I know enough about the Ravens' history to go, yeah, I remember the pretty early aughts, they were demons on defense.
This was Trent Dilfer running as the quarterback and Jamal Lewis as his rookie year.
Yeah. So again, I am going to come back to I think this is a little high up, only simply due to the fact that all around your team wasn't good. You just had a power horse defense that made your offense look decent.
But in the early odds, that was kind of a thing, was pop gun offense with ferocious man-eating defenses.
It was. I'm not disagreeing. That's why I'm saying I still think personally it's a little high because I'm thinking all around team, but it's still very good for its time, so I get it.
Number 12, the 2007 Indianapolis Colts. Lost in the divisional round to the Chargers, 28-24. Offense, 89th percentile. Defense, 93rd.
I was going to say, it's hard not to look at that team and go, that's a team that should have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's a team that should have won the Super Bowl, no question.
11-point favorites at home against the Chargers and still blew it.
Still managed to blow it. So I think they're a very good team. I think that ending does put an asterisk next to them just a little bit. So I think them being at 12 is a little high, but at the same time, there's not too many. I mean, I feel like we're going to start getting into them, obviously, but there's not a lot of teams that are that complete as a roster that were that good.
Number 11, the 2016 New England Patriots.
Yeah, I figured they were coming at some point.
Won the Super Bowl and a comeback over the Falcons, 34-28.
Yeah, I'm honestly shocked that just misses the top 10, to be honest. I mean, it's a legendary team just for that run alone. So yeah, it's kind of hard not to have them right around the top 10. And I imagine it's not the only Patriots team we're going to see in the top 10.
Oh no, there's a couple more in here.
Actually, I was going to say, I'm sure there's at least 3 more I can think of, probably.
And there might be one that lost the Super Bowl. Yeah. But yeah, that was a very, very good team.
That was, yeah.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have been down that bad. A lot of people didn't expect them to be down that bad in the first place. So,
Number 10, reaching back in the time machine, the 2001 St. Louis Rams lost in the Super Bowl to the Patriots, 20-17. Offense, 100th percentile. Defense, 75th percentile.
still a really good all-around team overall. Again, another one of those, they probably should have won that Super Bowl, honestly. They definitely had enough opportunities to do so.
Definitely part of the greatest show on turf era, too.
Exactly. So it's hard not to look at that team and go, wow, that was a really good team. So no, this makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard not to say that wasn't one of the best teams. And if we were going back, I think the 99 Rams would be on here somewhere, which was the start of that greatest show on turf that won the fucking Super Bowl.
That won it, yeah.
All right.
That'd probably be in the top 5 for a lot of people, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. Number 9, the 2019 Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl over the 49ers, 31-20. 96th percentile on offense, 74th percentile on defense.
I was going to say that was one of their better years, for sure, when they first were making their big run. So I get it. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, there was a point where they were down 24-0 against the Texans, and then for the next 20 minutes, they scored 41 points.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was one of their best years, I think, personally.
Yeah. It's hard to say that it wasn't. Number 8, the 2010 Green Bay Packers. 14-6, won the Super Bowl over the Steelers, 31-25. 81st percentile in offense, 98th in defense.
Yeah, they were a good football team. Yada, yada, yada. Move on. I get it.
We both hate the Packers, but yeah, that was actually a really good football team. Number 7, the 2003 New England Patriots. 17-2, beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl 32-29. Offense 63rd, defense 97th.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by this one at all. We can move on. I said, I could name a couple more Patriots teams. I expected this. This was not uncommon.
Not at all. That was one that everybody went, okay, yeah, no, we get that one. Yeah. Number 6, the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Won the Super Bowl over the Raiders 48-21. Offense 70th percentile, defense 99th percentile.
Yep. Another fairly complete team, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Simeon Rice was on that team.
Yep.
Sapp. Brad Johnson,
Yep.
the former Minnesota Viking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a pretty decent team. I wouldn't call it as stellar as they have it, but it was definitely a very good team from a franchise that kind of was pretty negligent after that.
Yeah, it was really good for a couple of years there when they had Tony Dungy, and then
Yeah.
just kind of slowly fell apart.
Yep.
Number 5, the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles, 16-3, beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl 41-33, 96th percentile in offense, 92nd percentile in defense. This would be the Carson Wentz, Nick Foles year.
Carson Wentz, yeah, Nick Foles. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you, that does feel kind of high, but I get it because your team must be pretty complete if you can swap in your backup QB and still have very similar results, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get that they're kind of doing the whole like overall a great strong team, a great foundation. Top 5, not in my book, but I get why you'd have them top 10.
Number 4, the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl 40-22.
Yeah, I mean that was Saquon the show, so yeah, fair enough.
Hard to say that wasn't one of the top 5 teams.
I feel like it might be a little recency bias on that, but currently looking, it's like, yeah, that was a pretty good season.
Number 3, the 2004 New England Patriots.
Yeah, there's the other one. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm surprised it's not higher, actually.
That was the year they did lose. Inexplicably, they would lose two games that season. One to the Steelers and one to a Dolphins team that would go 4-12.
Yeah, no, just random inner division weirdness sometimes.
Number 2, the 2013 Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl over the Broncos 43-8.
Yeah. Seems a little high, but I get it. Yeah.
They were 80th percentile in offense and 99th on defense. This was the prime years of the Legion of Boom.
No, I get it. That's why I'm like, I get it. Yeah.
And the number 1 overall team, the 2007 New England Patriots.
Yeah,
lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl 17-14.
Yeah, that's not shocking.
That was the team that had a chance to be perfect.
Undefeated.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then a helmet catch.
Still. I mean, it.
Yeah. I'm going to say that game was amazing.
The game was kind of actually boring until the last 5 minutes.
Like
not
the last,
you, actually.
Yeah, the last 5 minutes of that game made that game way more fun than it should have been.
Yeah. I'll say this: I feel like there should have been at least one Vikings team on there. There really should have been. There was at least 2 or 3 years there with Adrian Peterson where we could have been considered with a good defense, could have been in the low 20s. In my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But
and if they stretched it back a little further, obviously that 98 team would go on here.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's hard to say that it shouldn't have been if they stretched that back.
I feel like we got cheated out of at least one spot on the list for sure, but that's just me. I'm actually shocked there wasn't more Green Bay seasons on there.
Yeah, just the one.
I figured there would have been at least 2 good ones on there, but no, just the one.
Just the one. And you want to know who didn't make the list as well? The Cowboys.
I was going to say the Cowboys didn't make the list. Granted, most of their really good seasons were prior to 2000. So.
And that's There were a bunch of teams. The Dolphins I didn't see on the list anywhere.
No Dolphins. I'm trying to think. Texans weren't on there, were they?
Nope.
They had that one really good year, and then nothing.
Titans weren't on there.
The Bengals weren't on there.
Nope, no Bengals. Although you could have made
obviously no Bears.
You could have made an argument for no Bears, no Lions, and you could have made an argument for some of the more recent Lions teams to at least have made.
That's what I'm saying. Like the most recent Lions team, or even, the Bengals had that
run to the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Well, they should have. Maybe you could argue one of theirs should have been
exactly.
On there,
And so there are some arguments for some teams that didn't make it, but overall,
I'm honestly surprised there wasn't like any 40. Was there no 49ers teams? I mean, I think there was, but there was not.
There was the one 49ers team.
I was a little shocked that there was only the one there.
Mm-hmm. And no Chargers teams either, with Rivers and Tomlinson.
Yeah. Weird.
Mm-hmm.
No Raiders teams, but that's not super shocking.
In that time period, the Raiders haven't been very good.
No, that's what I'm saying. That time, same thing with the Browns. Like, that's not shocking.
They had that one year. They had that one year they made the Super Bowl and lost it to Tampa.
Yep. Jaguars had that one really good year, and ever since have been kind of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I guess the rest kind of make a certain amount of sense, but yeah, there was definitely a couple inexplicable seasons where you're just like, shocked they didn't put that one in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Especially over some of the other ones where we're just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, for example, I bet you some of those would be in there if you were to limit one team, right? Only one team within the 25 years get one year only gets to be chosen, right?
Yeah, one team.
So you probably
one entry per team.
Yeah. Inevitably, you would, because of 25 years. Obviously, you have 32 teams. Obviously, inevitably, you'd have to pick one of the better years for those seasons for sure for teams. I think that'd be a more interesting list to see. Just because, like, there might be some years where it was like, man, there was nobody who was super good except for this one team, but I already gave them their one win already, so who's the next best that I give it to? Who had another good run or not, That would be an interesting one. It'd be a little harder, though. Because there was, 5 Patriots teams on there, 6 Patriots teams on there, some shit like that?
I mean, you can't be mad at that, because...
No, I'll say this. I understand 3 to 4 of them. The other 2 are like, all right. But, yeah, when they were as good as they were, especially in that kind of mid-aughts, early mid-aughts, like, Jesus, yeah.
They were just so good and nearly unbeatable.
Yeah, and they were still good years after that. They just weren't, Super Bowl winning consistently good after that. They were still constantly making playoffs and being the bane of people's existence before the Chiefs were. The Chiefs are the new Patriots in that way. They're the new bane of the AFC's existence.
Oh, yeah. 100%. And I'm not... You know what?
Seems like there's always one.
More power to them. If you can do it in this day and age, it is hard to keep
It's kind of like the
dynasty
Eagles
going.
Currently are the NFC. Yeah. Eagles are trying with the NFC. We'll see if they can last more than 2 years here, but they're trying, and they've been able to retain a lot of their good core players. Like, there's still a lot they're missing, but they got a lot of core players where I still think they're going to be pretty tough this upcoming season.
Yeah. They still got Saquon, and Saquon is obviously a beast. We'll have to hope he stays healthy because he's had health issues.
In the past, he has. Last season was really good, though, for him. So we'll
and he puts those together every so often. We're he puts together a fantastic... That year that they beat us, the Giants beat us in the playoffs. He played the entire season, had a really good season. The next year, he got injured.
Yeah.
So, we can hope that he puts together a good season again. Overall, that was the list of 25. I don't have anything else. I think we've done enough talking and enough yammering.
Yeah.
So, I think we'll end the podcast here for everybody. We do want to say thank you for sticking with us. We'll see you again coming up probably next month. Football season isn't far away.
Very close.
Very close. We'll see you again next month.
It's the end of next month, if I remember right. Preseason starts.
I want to say that is correct. We'll see you sometime next month because we do have to do our
Preseason.
We have to do the preseason rankings 1 to 32, and then we're going to have to do our preseason rankings 1 to 32, and see how all of that works out for us. Yes, I think it'll be very interesting. And then, of course, you'll see us every week during the regular season. We will post as best as possible. If we miss a week, we'll apologize. Work schedules and school schedules and everything being what they are. But we will do everything we can to get out at least one podcast a week during the regular season. Again, we have changed up that format. For those of you who missed it at the end of last season, we decided it was better that we only cover, like, really jump into, like, 3 games apiece. Because obviously we're going to cover the Viking game and then 2 other games from each of us. That way we're not just giving you a wall of stats. We can actually go a little more in depth and talk about what we saw in the game. Unfortunately, we are not the hockey guy on YouTube with his hockey games where he can watch almost every game and he's got like 7 of them going at the same time and taking notes about all of them. We can't do that with football. It just does not work. So, at any rate,
I'm gonna say I even have Red Zone, but that still doesn't give you all of the.
No, it doesn't give you everything all at once. Like, it would be impossible to watch that much football.
I don't know. I could probably do it, but I just don't have the money to afford that kind of setup to make that work. So
yeah, we would have to do recordings and
shit.
Yeah. All right. At any rate, we will be back next month, and then as football approaches, you'll begin to see us almost weekly again. We'll try to do as best we can. In the meantime, we want to tell everybody out there that you can believe in yourself. We know you can do it. Put your mind to it. You can accomplish whatever it is that you have set your mind to. In the meantime, we're going to say, stay bearded and peace out.